So we're going to talk about blood type genetics again, but we're going to talk about a second part of blood type. And that is when you hear about people's blood types, you probably hear A positive or B negative. What does that positive and what does that negative mean? That's what we're talking about today. So let's take a look. Here I have a picture of all of the positive blood types. And what do we see they have in common? We notice they all have something that's called Rh factor. And Rh factor is named for the rhesus macaque, which is a monkey that lives in Africa. And this is actually where they first discovered this protein on blood cells. It's in this primate. So when we talk about this Rh factor, it's just an extra protein with a fancy name, Rh. Okay. So dominant means we do have the protein, and that's why positive here. We've got dominant. All of them have this these black proteins on the outside. The recessive is negative, which means you don't have the protein. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to add this into our chart. We already wrote some blood types in our chart, and so now we're going to add the blue. Okay, so our dominant genes, not only do we have A and B that are dominant, we have a separate gene that's also dominant, and that's Rh positive. That's the positive gene. The negative gene here is Rh negative, the recessive gene. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to add some genotypes then and our phenotypes to this chart. So we could have plus plus, which is going to be Rh plus. We can have plus minus, which is Rh, still Rh plus, okay, which, by the way, if we want to just go ahead and combine these, we can, plus minus. That might make our lives a little easier. And then minus minus would be the Rh negative. So either they have this extra protein on their blood cells or they don't, okay? And so if they do, they're going to get a plus by the name of their blood type, so like A positive. If they don't, they're going to get a minus next to their blood type, so like A negative, okay? So in case you're curious, here is a table of all of the blood types in the US and their percentages. So it's actually pretty common to have that extra plus, that positive protein on your blood type. So O positive, A positive, they're the most common. The rest of them are pretty rare. And so you can figure out by asking your parents if they know their blood type. We can do a Punnett square and kind of figure out what your blood types might be. So when we do these problems, I'll show you how to do it. Same simple kind of problems we've been doing. It says dad's heterozygous for Rh plus factor. Mom is homozygous for Rh minus factor. Just like the other blood type problems, dominant's always going to be positive, recessive is always going to be negative. In this next part, we're going to assign letters. Now you'll notice in our chart we used pluses and minuses. Here I'm using a capital R and a lowercase r. I don't care if you use a plus and you use a minus, or if you use a capital and a lowercase. Whatever's going to be easiest for you is going to be the best way, okay? So for our sake in this problem, since I already have big R, little r, I'm going to use that. If you want to use pluses and minuses, great, go for it. So it says dad's heterozygous, so we have to circle dad's genes over here. And then mom is homozygous for Rh negative. So since mom's homozygous, that means two of the same, and she's got Rh negative, so that's going to be two lowercase letters. Dad's heterozygous, that means one of each letter, so that's going to be big R, little r. So we have the parent genes, and now we're just going to do the same thing. It's just a super simple Punnett square problem. Okay, and so we put our letters on the Punnett square and then we solve. Remember, the capital R is the positive, that's dominant. Okay, so how many are going to be Rh positive? Well, if they have a capital R, they're going to be positive, so that would be 50%. And 50% are going to be Rh negative. So it's just a super simple, regular Punnett square problem.